Again, I'd like to welcome you to our open house for SDSU School of Public Affairs online MPA program. We're very excited to have you here with us this evening. We should have plenty of time in our hour this evening to answer questions from you about the application process, and our brief agenda includes introductions, providing you with a snapshot of the School of Public Affairs, an overview of our faculty and the degree requirements, and then importantly, the application process. Then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A at the end, but I would also encourage you to chat or enter questions in the Q&A along the way during the presentation. I'm happy to pause during the presentation and answer any questions that you might have. So first, introductions. We have some staff and faculty here in the room, and we'll do some introductions, and then we'll do a quick poll to see who has joined us. We have a few questions that will help us understand who's in the room with us. So I'll start. Sherry Ryan again, and I'm professor of city planning in the School of Public Affairs and director of the school. I also serve as the Global Campus Program Coordinator. So our school offers several degree programs through Global Campus, and I serve as the coordinator of those programs. We also have Professor Colvin with us, and I'll let you introduce yourself, but he is taking over as interim director of the school and the Global Campus Coordinator starting in the fall. So you would be interacting with him quite a bit, but go ahead, Rod.
Thanks, Dr. Ryan. Greetings, everyone. I'm Rod Colvin. I am a professor in public administration, and I'm currently serving as the interim associate dean in Global Campus. And as Dr. Ryan said, I'll be coming back to the School of Public Affairs to serve as the interim director and Global Campus Coordinator. So I hope to tell you that you're in good hands. I've been on both sides of the aisle, and I'm looking forward to hopefully working with many of you in both of those capacities.
And Becky.
Thank you. My name is Becky Ryan. I am a program director with Global Campus. I've had the great pleasure of working with both Dr. Ryan and Dr. Colvin for a number of years. I basically take care of the administrative side of things and do the things that enable you to be able to take your courses. Lindsay?
Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay Vance, and I will be providing any technical support you need for the evening. Just message me, raise your hand, or post a question. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And now we'll take a quick poll and see who's in the room with us. Lindsay. So if you could tell us about yourself, we're curious to know where you're joining us from. San Diego, outside of San Diego, but in California, outside of California, or potentially even outside the US, which many of our online MPA students do.
All right, I think everyone who can respond has so far.
Great, so it looks like about little over half of you are from San Diego, and about 3 of you are from other places in California. So no one from another state or another country. Thanks, Lindsay. And if you could tell us about the organization where you work. Private sector, city, regional government, state, federal government, or something else potentially. Interesting. So most are with city or regional government and split between state, federal government, and nonprofit. Thank you. And you may or may not have seen in the requirements that the online MPA program requires that you be what we refer to as an in-service student, so that you're actually a working professional. That is one of the requirements because we are not able to provide the internship class. And so the way we kind of sidestep that degree requirement is only admitting in-service professionals. So very interesting. Thanks. And the next question. How long have you been a public administration professional? So great. So it looks like there's a span here with 3 to 5 years being the most frequent, along with more than 10 years. Great. So I think you will find, given the degree program, that it really is beneficial for in-service professionals to enhance their education and to go through this fairly rigorous degree program. Thank you, Lindsay. I think the poll is ended. A little bit about the School of Public Affairs. The degree that you will be obtaining is identical to the degree on what we call the state side, so the main campus side. So you will be getting a degree from the School of Public Affairs, and we've been around a while. We are in our 54th year of delivering degree programs. We have something like 15,000, probably more, alumni in San Diego region, across California, and the US, the larger US. So very deep networks of alumni in many government agencies across California, and for sure in the San Diego region. Our school offers 5 different degree programs. I mentioned I was part of the city planning faculty. We, in addition to the Masters of Public Administration, we offer a master's in criminal justice and a master's in city planning, and then 2 undergraduate degree programs in public administration and criminal justice. We have 2 nationally accredited degree programs, the city planning program and the Masters of Public Administration. So that really requires us to ensure that our curriculum is mainstream, that it's following all the most up-to-date standards. It's a really good process that universities go through to keep their programs relevant and well connected to the state of the practice in public administration. We have about 1,200 students, so we're a fairly large school, and every year the cohort or every cohort of the MPA program tends to be fairly small, though. We try to keep that between, say, 22 students and 30 students. In fact, the 6th cohort that is just in their last module now was our largest cohort. There are 33 students in that cohort. We had incredible demand for the degree program last time around with almost 200 applicants. So there's a fairly high demand for our degree programs. The school's faculty, permanent faculty, are at about 20 right now, but we do draw heavily from practitioners. We very much value bringing in practitioners who are in the field working in local government, and mainly in the San Diego region, but in some cases from other regions. That's one of the benefits of the online degree program, is that we can draw from expertise really across California to serve as adjunct faculty for our degree programs. So that's a little bit about who we are, and our overall mission is to prepare public service leaders to serve communities in a global context. And so we're very much focused on public service and preparing the next strong administrators and students who understand governance and effective governance. Very much needed in this day. The core PA faculty, you've met Dr. Colvin already. We have Muna Abdel Samad, who teaches administrative theory. We have Josh Channon, who is the stateside program coordinator and often teaches scope of public administration. Sean Flanagan, who specializes in nonprofit governance. David Yancich, Salvador Espinosa, and our very new faculty who will be starting this fall, Justina Jose. So these are our core faculty, but often faculty from criminal justice or city planning might end up serving and delivering some of the courses in the MPA program. Any questions so far? Any questions coming in? Lindsay or Becky?
No questions so far, but if someone would like to speak, feel free to raise your hand or chat.
Great. Now we'll get into the requirements. The degree program consists of 36 units total, and that equates to 12 courses. 9 of those courses are what we refer to as core courses, and there are 3 elective courses. As part of the core courses, an important component there is the capstone sequence. And I'm afraid some of the screen is cut off. I apologize for that, but the capstone sequence consists of PA 605 and PA 795. But this listing here on the right is the list of the 9 core courses, and that ranges from PA 600, which is the scope of public administration, kind of an overview intro course. And then we have a sequence of methods courses in 604 and 606. Then we cover a variety of core topics like public personnel, theory, public finance, public policy, and then finally the capstone sequence. And really the intention of the capstone sequence for the online MPA program is that you take a real world problem or issue or topic from your place of work and develop that into a research project. So maybe something that your agency or organization has found to be problematic, but perhaps doesn't have the time to spend figuring out or researching that problem. So the capstone works best when you are able to contribute to an actual problem at your workplace. So it's been very successful in the online MPA program and has really worked well to have in-service students thinking about these issues and thinking about how they can contribute to the very organization they're working with. I mentioned the 3 electives on the state side, and this is probably one of the biggest difference. On the state side, students can pick from an array of electives that we would offer, and some of those are listed here. In the online program, the degree is delivered as a cohort program, so you all take the same classes and you take them in sync with one another. And so what we've done, and it's worked well, is as the cohort is, as the group of students is admitted, we have, say, our 25 students that are planning on attending. Once that set of students is defined, we will send out a survey to you and ask you to pick your top 3 electives. And we would send a list similar to what you see here on the screen with a course description, so you have a better understanding of what the course content is. And we would ask you, what what does this cohort find to be the most interesting? And then whichever of these courses has the most votes, we would organize to offer those electives. So that's how we've run things previously, and it tends to work fairly well. We, in our cohort right now, our 6th cohort, we're offering, I believe, the nonprofit course, PA 501, and negotiation and bargaining. And I believe we also offered a city planning course, urban transportation planning. So it depends on the cohort and kind of what the sense of that cohort is and what they'd like to see as their electives. I mentioned the Capstone sequence, and this is one of our most recent curricular changes where we moved from a comprehensive exam, which was a very long exam where students were asked to synthesize material in a test environment. We moved away from that and to the Capstone where, as I said, we're asking students to develop and conduct a study on a real world issue. And ideally for the online MPA, you're contributing to the betterment of your organization in some capacity. And these are, this is a short list of some of the online MPA capstones that have been conducted in recent cohorts. So for example, an analysis of the alternative water sources available in Southern California, craft brewing, economic development practices in San Diego and Vista, diversity in contracting, a survey of California cities. So you can see that these were, mainly from California and very likely related to the work environments or work issues that the current students were having. They were able to use the classroom environment, working in conjunction with the faculty to conduct a strong piece of research on a particular issue. Lindsay.
It looks like we have a question from the
Sure.
chat.
Okay.
Is the capstone an individual effort or a group project?
Good question. We run this as an individual project. So it would be it would not be a group project. It would be your own independent work. But we do now take 2 full courses to in PA 605. So I mentioned it was a sequenced effort, the PA 605 and PA 795. In 605, you're developing the topic, you're conducting a literature review, you're developing a data collection or research plan. So you're doing that kind of background work. Previously, we had the capstone in 1 course. So we've split it out across 2 courses, which I think is much better. So you have the time to really work on it. And as I said, do that preliminary work in 605. And then in 795, you can do some data collection, data analysis, and report writing. So it seems to have worked really well. And in fact, all of our graduate degree programs now follow this capstone sequence of courses spread over 2 semesters on the state side, but in your case, over 2 courses in 2 different blocks in the online MPA. Is there another question? Okay. So the schedule, this cohort, you will be the 7th cohort, or the applicants coming in and being admitted this time around will be the 7th cohort that we've run. We always only run 1 at a time. This cohort will be starting in January 2023. So that's about 6 months off. Is that right, Becky? Am I doing this? Okay, that's about 6 months off if I can do a visual calendar, count months in my brain. So we'll be starting in January 2023, and we spread the courses, we schedule the courses basically across 4 semesters. And we've tried to outline that here. So if you're starting in spring 23, you would take 4 courses that semester. And the way we run the courses, we run them in 8-week modules. And so there are 2 8-week modules over, say, the spring semester. And in each of those modules, you would take 2 courses. So you're doing 2 courses the first 8 weeks, and then another 2 courses the second 8 weeks of the spring semester. Our semesters are 16 weeks. So it's pretty challenging, and it's pretty compressed, but every year, you know, we are graduating wonderful students out of this degree program. And it does end up that the students work together. And I've seen a lot of collegiality develop between the students because it is rigorous, and they all of you are taking the same classes. And so a real nice bond tends to develop between the students. So then in the summer, you would just take 2 classes, and we try to sneak in a more extended break over the summer so you can recuperate a bit. Then we'd pick up in the fall with another 4 classes, so 2 and then 2. And then in the spring 2024, we would do 2 courses, one of which would be PA 795. And so you would finish up the capstone in spring 2024 and graduate in May. So 16-month total timeline across 4 semesters. And you would be eligible to graduate with the stateside students, since your graduation would fall in the same month. So that's kind of a fun thing. You come to campus and walk with all of the other students. That happens once in a while, but it would definitely be happening with your cohort. The application requirements. A bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited university. We look for a minimum of a 3.0 GPA overall. We can make exceptions to that, but we typically don't because there is a real strong demand for the degree program and it's fairly competitive. We ask for a resume so we can understand your professional experience, a personal statement, a professional statement, 3 letters of recommendation, a writing sample, and your transcripts. And unfortunately for you, the PA faculty just expanded the application requirements and made them much more demanding. So it is a lot. I'm not sure if Rod was involved in those conversations about expanding the requirements, but there's quite a bit of writing that we're asking for, and you know, and just do your best to get that put together. I don't know, Rod, if you have any comments on the requirements, or maybe direction about the personal statement and the professional statements.
Yeah, sure. I mean, in prior years, we required just one of those statements, and the professional statement is really to get a sense of your capabilities as a writer. We're more interested in sort of the technical skills and abilities you have. The personal statement is really about to get to know you and what draws you to graduate study. Dr. Ryan, if you'll indulge me just with one more add-on about that. For the letters of reference, I know some of you may have been away from university life for a while or some amount of time. So if you have professional references in lieu of academic references, or you have a reference from some other capacity in your life, for example, volunteering, feel free to use those as well.
Great, thank you, Rod. That's very helpful. Any questions about these materials?
Yeah, we have a few questions in the chat.
Okay, great.
The first, can you please clarify whether 2 or 3 letters of recommendation are required? The website currently states 2 letters, but the slide shows 3. Thank you.
That's it should be
Yeah.
3. It should be 3. But that's a great question, and that might be a typo on the website or maybe something that didn't get updated, but we will look into that.
The next question is, what items can be submitted as writing samples?
That's
a great question. I'll let Rod answer.
The universe of items, really, if you have a, if you are sort of recently graduated and you have a paper that you've written, you can use that, but you can also draw on items that you may have from work. If you've written, for example, a memorandum, or you've written a report in your capacity in your job, those would be acceptable as well.
Thank you.
The next question, will the program require any on-campus attendance?
Well, I know in previous years, pre-pandemic, we would have a day-long orientation event for the incoming cohort. In the last cohort that happened during the pandemic, we did not do that. And I think we'll probably get our heads together about whether or not we want to have some kind of in-person orientation event. That would probably be up to Rod going forward. So if we did require, and I don't believe, Rod, that those were required. Was attendance at those events required?
No, they were strongly encouraged. There were 2 events. Typically, we would have the orientation event, and sort of nice to get to know the other folks that are in your cohort face to face. And
Right.
then at the end of the program, we would typically have the capstone presentations.
In person?
And right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that is TBD if they will be in person. And we can try to get some information out about that in the coming month or so.
And just to put a clarifying point on that, Dr. Ryan. So in terms of your classes or any other activities, you would not be required. All of that is offered. All of your courses and any support that you would need is offered online.
Right. Any other questions at this point? Okay, and we will get some clarification out, especially I think we can email this group. We'll get some clarification out to this group specifically about the number of letters of recommendation.
Just one more chime in, my apologies. It is 3 letters of recommendation. And
Okay.
that was my point for saying that if you don't have all academic recommendations, those could be other letters of recommendations from your community or through your profession.
Oh, good. Okay, so we'll just update the website. That clears that up right away. Thank you.
One more question. Are the courses asynchronous?
Yes, the courses are fully asynchronous. Okay, so the application process, if you haven't already figured this out, is kind of a 2-stage process where you have to submit an application through Cal State Apply, and that application is due September 30th. So that's coming up, and that's, I would say, a less rigorous application than the supplemental materials, which is the 2nd stage of the application process, where all of your resume, personal statements, letters of recommendation, et cetera, this long list of items needs to be submitted through what's called Interfolio, and that's due on November 1st. So it's a two-stage application process, and there should be information on both of those phases of the application process on Global Campus's website. Can you confirm, Becky, if the Interfolio link has been
Yes.
placed on Global
Yes.
Campus's website?
it
Good.
has.
So that's, so beyond getting your materials ready, just make sure you're hitting both of those phases of the application process. And we are very happy about the cost of our program. It's a relatively low cost program, and we all think that you're getting incredible value in this degree program for the cost, which is just under $20,000. And Becky, maybe clarify for us, the students pay by module or by semester?
By module, they pay for each course individually.
Okay, so you pay as you go, which is also kind of nice. You don't have to come up with chunks of money, and it's 551 dollars per unit. So a 3-unit course, all of the courses are 3-unit courses. So each course is something like $1,500 or a little more, and you pay by module. So as I mentioned, I am, after 20 years, leaving SDSU and moving to New York City to take another position as dean of the Mark School of Public Affairs. I love SDSU, but just couldn't pass up this opportunity. And so you will very likely be dealing with Professor Colvin through the application process, and I would encourage you to reach out to him if you do have questions. Global Campus also has an admissions advisor, Paul Martin, and you can reach out to him as well. So I think between the two of them, I will be involved in the admissions to a certain extent, shepherding that to a certain extent, but it will mainly be Professor Colvin. So future questions could be directed his way. And I think that concludes our presentation, and we have a good 20 minutes to open up the floor. We can unmute you if you'd like to voice your question. Let us know.
I'm wondering if you have any recommendations as to what type of information to include in a personal statement that would be relevant to whatever you're looking for.
Do you recall the specific prompt? Rod, was there a specific prompt for a personal statement?
To be completely honest, I'm not sure if there was a specific prompt. I can tell you a little bit about just anecdotally what we look for. We're really interested in sort of trying to find out a bit about you and what brought you to graduate study. Oftentimes folks have a connection to public service, or they have a connection to community service or something to that effect. So I would push out the question sort of what makes you you and what makes you interested in the program. So we'll have a lot of numbers about you, and this is a chance for you to tell us a little bit about perhaps how you found yourself in the public sector, or how you found yourself up until this point applying for graduate study.
Thank you, Rod. And I see that Becky also has chatted. Did you chat to everyone or just myself?
I chatted to you because I didn't know if you wanted to go.
Okay.
I'm happy to chat to everybody.
Yeah, go ahead. She did find the prompts on our school website, so she'll chat the prompts to everyone, but I think it's fairly consistent with what Professor Colvin just mentioned.
And I included the link to the webpage.
Great. Describe your personal commitment to public service, social equity, using examples from your personal experience, any experiences that have prepared you for graduate study. Describe strategies you'll use to balance competing demands and any other information that might be important for the admissions committee.
I do have one question. Thank you for the presentation. It was great, lots of info. How does the classes, or how do the classes work, like the day-to-day? Are there set times of when you log in, or is it recordings? What does that look like? You could elaborate.
It might be best for Lindsay to answer that question. Lindsay is a phenomenal instructional design specialist, and she's actually working with our PA faculty now to refresh all of their online courses. So she might be able to weigh in a little bit about how they're structured, but I'll turn it over to Lindsay.
Hi there. So great question. For the day-to-day, I think you're able to manage your workload and your time, but typically courses are built into kind of chapters or units or modules. And typically professors want to keep you in the module during that week or during a specific period of time. So for example, week 1, you might have some readings to complete, a discussion board, maybe make an introductory video, something like that. And that needs to be done by a certain due date. So there is a little bit of flexibility, but there are milestones along the way. And it really works well for students who may not be able to log in until late at night, early in the morning. So the exact time of day is not as important as just staying with it week to week. And I will say communication is really important, letting your professor or tech support know if you can't see something or if you're having any issues as early on as possible. Because like Dr. Ryan mentioned, this is a very fast-paced, accelerated program. So many benefits to that, but the materials are designed to get you there quickly. So you've got to stay on them from week to week. And then a really good question from the chat: what is the course delivery system? It is on Canvas, and any office hours and things like that tend to be on Zoom. Did that fully answer the question?
Thank you. Yes, it did.
All right.
Gave me a little bit more ease.
I will say, just working with the faculty, everyone is very committed to student success, and they want to see you do well on your assignments, on your projects. So every opportunity is taken to prepare you as early as possible for anything that's coming down the road. And I will say you can usually see what's coming up ahead of time. So let's say you have a light week and you can move ahead a little, do some advanced readings or something along those lines. I would strongly recommend taking advantage of that when you do have a moment to do so. And I just saw Rod, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll chime in. I've actually taught the 630 course, which is our human resources course. And Lindsay's absolutely right in terms of sort of how the courses are structured. I would just add for my personal course, one of the things that I try to do is to be pretty systematic from module to module. So for example, if we have a discussion board, it'll usually be due on the same day of the week. And so you can sort of build your schedule around that. And I tend to open up the entire, although assignments wouldn't be due until later in the semester, I tend to open up all of the modules so that students can see and prepare in advance in case they have something coming up work related or personally. And as Lindsay said, get a bit ahead of the reading or start preparing for an assignment early.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, I think we can conclude now, and hopefully you feel like you've gotten to know us a little bit and you feel comfortable reaching out to myself or Rod, Becky or Lindsay with any other questions you might have. And we hope that this has been informative and we look forward to reviewing your application.